Gakpo, I know so many things are happening in Parliament. I know that the probe into the cash for seat saga has had to be extended by a week. What has accounted for this?
And so the indication that we get is that the committee members said that you would recall that about 2 weeks ago they were supposed to have met members of the expatriate business community. They didn't show up for the sitting. Today we got the confirmation from the majority leader, Chairman Sabunsu, that they were uncomfortable with a public hearing where we have the cameras beaming live and all, which was why they didn't show up at the last sitting when the committee was expecting them to appear. And so the chairman of the committee requested that the majority leader and the minority leader help ensure a situation where the sitting will be extended for a week. The leadership of the House met this morning and they agreed that the committee should be given 1 more week. Initially, they were expected to present their report tomorrow, but now they have until next week, Wednesday, to submit their report to the House. But we've gathered a few details that earlier today, the committee met, and this wasn't a public sitting. This was an in-camera hearing of the 5-member committee led by Kwesi Amayao-Cheme. And from what we've gathered, some members of the expatriate business community actually showed up to give testimony in camera. We gathered that about 8 of them showed up. Some of those who sat at the presidential table on the 9th that the award ceremony was actually held, they were asked questions about how come they got involved with the awards. They were asked questions about how much they had to pay in order to show to be there. They were asked questions about whether they were coerced into making the payments that amounted to the 2.6 million cedis that we understand the ministry got from them and eventually transferred to the Millennium Excellence Foundation. And so beyond that, the committee will be finalizing its report after it's gotten that testimony from them, which actually happened earlier today. The committee has been sitting all day, and then they would input that into the additional details they've gotten so far, beyond which we would see them finalizing their report and presenting it to the House sometime next week.
Gakpo, last week the minority agitated over a comment made by the president at his Meet the Press encounter, which they described as prejudicial and which they say will undermine the probe. Did this issue come up in Parliament?
It's come up, even not exactly on the floor, but in conversations outside Parliament. I did an interview with the MP for North Tongue and the minority spokesperson on foreign affairs, who was the second petitioner in this particular issue, which led to the setting up of the committee, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa. And he made the point that they wouldn't want to continue passing any other comments on this because they wouldn't want to prejudice the process or anything like that. And he repeatedly made the point that they are convinced that the comment by the president was quite prejudicial. This is not a comment that should have been put out. And in fact, for some of the MPs on the NDC side, like Ras Mubarak, who I had an interview with earlier in the day, he thinks that the comment by the president undermines the work of the committee to the extent that he doesn't think anything positive will come out of the report that eventually the Amayao-Cheme-led committee would put out. He thinks it's undermined the work of the committee to the very latter, and at this point in time, he's not convinced it would amount to anything bad. His colleague Okudzeto-Ablakwa still indicates he has confidence in the committee that they would come out with the truth, they would come out with the necessary details, and that whatever they come out with would be a full picture of what exactly transpired. But they are still not happy with those comments that the president passed.
All right. Many thanks to you, Gakpo.